Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee and welcome to this card making tutorial. Today we're making this fancy fold or fun fold card, and it's this type of pop out card, and this one just says best wishes, and you can see it just pops out like that and then folds back in easily to go into your envelope. And this is using the Brush with Beauty Designer Series paper, and this one here uses Calypso Coral, you can see, and you can see how it just folds like that. So this one, as I said, is Calypso Coral. We're going to make a different colourway using the same paper but a different pattern. So this time our card base is going to be Early Espresso. So we're going to do some scoring. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer so we can do a little bit of scoring here. And I'm sorry for the glare. Okay, so I've made myself a template. And this template will be available on the blog. And you can find the link to that in the description box below. So initially we're going to score at 5 centimeters. Now on your trimmer, your scoring blade is your light grey blade. So I'm going to score at 5 centimeters on either side. So 5, and I'm going to turn it around to do 5. Or you can do 5 and 15, whichever works for you. So I should have said this piece of Early Espresso measures 14.85 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Okay, so we've scored at 5 and 15, or 5 from either side, whichever way you want to look at it. Now we need to measure 3 centimeters down on each of these score lines. So I am just going to measure 3 centimeters down, which is there, and then what you want to do is you're going to bring in your trimmer and you want to cut between the two score lines. So I'm going to have to get my head in the camera just to see, so I'm really sorry about this. Just so I can see what I'm doing. It's always useful. Okay, so you can see we've got this little flappy bit now here. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So 3 centimeters, and we're going to cut between these two score lines. Okay, I need to go a little bit further up. Okay, there we go. So now you can see we've got these two bits like this. So now we're going to go back to scoring, and we're going to score at 7.5 centimeters. So that's here, and this score line is just going to be between the two cut lines. So just check, yeah, that's just between the two cut lines. And then we're going to move to 10 centimeters, and this is just going to be between the cut line and the end of the cardstock. So just here, and then the same on the other side, on the top. Okay, and then we're going to move to 12.5 centimeters, and again we're just going to score between the two cut lines. But everything will be on the blog post, the whole template, which makes it really easy to see what you're doing. So that's all of our scoring done. So we can set that aside now and take away the trimmer. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my bone folder. I'm starting from either end, it doesn't matter. First is going to be a valley fold, so it's going to be like that. Next one will be a mountain. The next one is going to be a valley. Doesn't really matter these ones. These ones in the middle here, I'm going to fold both ways to get them some real traction going with them. And this is going to be a mountain. And then on the other side, a valley. So you can see here it's going to fit together like this. And once I've got it in place, I'm going to actually turn it on the opposite side and give everything a really good burnish. So there we've got our start of our card. Right, let me get rid of this template for now. We don't need it anymore. And let's bring in the rest of our pieces here. So I have another piece here. I'll come to that in the centre. We'll do our designer series paper. Now this is a pattern from the same paper but just a different pattern. And this is 4.5 centimetres by 14.35. But as I said, all those measurements are on the blog post. So don't bother about writing them down now. Just go and take a screenshot of the template. Much easier. There we go. So do you like fancy fold cards? Fancy fold cards? Fun fold? I do them occasionally. Maybe once or twice a month. They have to say they're not my favourite always, but there is something special about a card that does something different as well. And I want to acknowledge that. So if you've got paper that's directional like this one is here, just make sure you cut it in the right direction. Otherwise you're going to be in trouble and everything's going to look upside down or looking sideways when it's meant to look straight ahead or whatever. So then we've got 4 little pieces here. Everything cuts, it's pretty much obvious where it's going to go. Just make sure you've got your paper the right way up. It is always useful. Okay. There's a perfect day when I'm doing this to be crafting. I craft my videos on YouTube, but I make them quite far ahead of time, as you might know, and it's January and it is abysmal weather outside. It is grey, it is dark, it is wet. It is definitely the type of weather to be inside and crafting rather than outside. I'm sure you'd agree. Right, so there we've got our paper. Isn't that cute? So let's work on a focal piece at the front here. Okay, and so I've got a piece here that measures 8 centimetres by 9, and then a piece of very vanilla here that measures 7.5 by 8.5. Okay, and you can see this is just going to be this piece here. So just make sure you've got it in the right orientation. I do. Right, so let's stamp on this piece here. And the stamps that I'm going to use is this one called With You in Mind. And I'm going to do Best Wishes again, I think. So let's get a block out. I'm going to use my grid paper to line everything up and keep it straight, or as straight as I can. And I think I'm going to stamp again in whatever you call this colour, Calypso Coral, just to give a pop of colour to my my card, so it's not all neutrals. So I'm going to stick that in the centre. It says Best Wishes. Perfect. And let's give us a little clean using the simple chamois. Lovely. Now I'm going to take this off, and as you can see, the sentiment set comes with these other little tiny little icons. And I'm going to use this little flower, but I'm going to get a smaller block. I like to use a block that's near enough to the size of my stamp. It helps me to prevent over stamping. And I'm going to just ink this up. And stamp down. Just making little clusters at the top and bottom. There we go. Lovely. Right, let's close up our ink pad. I've already attempted to stick my fingers in there, so let's close it up before I manage it. Give us a bit of a clean and put our stamp away so we don't have an orphan stamp. And that's going to go there. Now I'm going to stick this down to my piece of early espresso. Seem to go through my Tombow so fast, my glue. It's always nearing, it always seems to be nearing the end of its life. Right, so we've got our sentiment. Now you want to stick it down, but you only want to stick it down between these two score lines here. So you see these two score lines, that's where you want to put glue, just there. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, and then I'm going to line this up as best as I can. You don't want it to go above or below the cut lines. And there we have our card. Isn't that cute? Right, finishing touches. If you want, as you can see when you fold it on the back here, if you want a place to write, which is what I do, I'm only going to put glue on one side here of this back panel. Otherwise the mechanism won't work. You could put just a strip here, but I need more than a strip to write. I like to write a proper message in my cards. So now I've got space for a proper message. Okay. So, finishing touches. Why won't my lid go on my glue properly? I have got from the same suite, Pearls of Beauty. And I'm thinking I'm going to use these ones this time. These are lovely, these embellishments, and they just match the whole set so beautifully. There we go. So last time I used the white, this time I'm going to use the sort of goldy colour. And there we have our two Best Wishes fun fold cards. One is Early Espresso, one is Calypso Coral. You can tell me which one you prefer, but I hope you like both. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you want more information about the project, as I said, the supply list, the measurements, it's all on the blog post, and the links to that and all my social media links are in the description box below. So thank you again, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.